And hello, everybody. Welcome back for another episode. If not now, when? Today, oh my goodness, I am super excited for our special guest speaker, Moe Choice, on the show today. And let me tell you a little bit about Moe. Oh my God. First of all, Moe is a serious entrepreneur. He co-founded 12 businesses. Oh my God. He raised millions in investment. He also took two businesses from startup to scale to exit. Oh my God, the whole journey, the whole process. He hires, over 1,000 people, over 50 nationalities. Wow, like who is counting? And over 4 different continents. He knows what inspires people. He really knows how to lead the team. Today, he is super passionate about helping and supporting individuals finding their alignment and live life on their own terms through the one-page plan. With that, everybody, oh my goodness, thank you so much, Mo, for joining us, and welcome to the show.
Amazing. Thank you, and for the introduction. Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
Of course, Mo. So tell us, wow, you've done a lot in your lifetime. So Mo, tell us, how does all the magic get started?
That's a difficult question. I think I decided pretty early I didn't want to work for anyone. I think that's the first thing. I decided, actually, even earlier than that, I decided I didn't trust anyone. I think that's what it started with. I didn't trust anyone enough to want to follow them or to be led by them. That includes my parents. That includes teachers. That includes, when people talk about who are you inspired by, I didn't really have an inspiration in terms of any individuals. I was more inspired by what people did. And everybody has the potential to inspire, I think. So it was more about, I wanted to create my own pathway. And I didn't want to follow convention, and so that was early. I would say as far back as I can remember, I decided that. So obviously, the natural course is either I become skilled in something, or I try to create something. And I tried to learn musical instruments. I couldn't sing. I couldn't dance. I wasn't very good at sports. I would have loved to have been a football player or something like that. I wasn't talented enough in any of those fields. So I decided to work with talented people. I think that's the path that I chose without really knowing that I chose it.
So, circle back to that, Mo. How did you know? How do you decide, what I am going to create? I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Like, is it a moment that you just having a realization, or you always knew?
No, I didn't. I don't think I thought about it, to be honest. I didn't plan anything.
Okay.
I just thought, what can I do that's better than what someone else is doing? And I kind of explored whatever opportunities were in front of me. So I didn't have a plan. I didn't have any particular business that I was interested in, or any field that I was interested in. I was interested in how to make the world better, if you want to look at it from a macro perspective, by serving people better. It's something like that. So I was always interested in service, in customer service, in leadership, and managing people, and bringing things together, and then offering something cool. And that's why I went into retail. I went into hospitality, restaurants, clubs, cafes, nightlife, things like that. I would be lying if I told you it was any more complex than that. It really isn't.
So when did you decide to start your own first business?
Well, I was selling bootleg CDs. That was the first time. About 14 or 15, I would make cassette tapes. This is pre-internet, of course. This is early 90s. I would make cassette tapes of my favorite songs. So like music compilations was a big thing at the time. And people loved compilations because you would have to buy a CD, you'd have to buy singles, and then CD players, you'd put in one CD at a time. And so people didn't like that. So they liked compilation. There was Now Music, and there was a lot of soundtracks from movies. And so I started creating my own compilations. and people would always ask me for copies of them. And then I realized that well, what if I sold these? So I started selling my tapes at school, and then I started selling CDs when it upgraded from cassette to CD, and that's when I started realizing that technology moves. Then I became interested in that. Then I went into this idea that what can I put together that already exists as a service for people who are generally too lazy to do it themselves. Really, that's the idea. If someone's got money but they're lazy, they'll pay for whatever you do for them. I figured that out at about 15, 16, clearly. So that's when I decided I wanted to figure out a way of making money that way. So I would say, yeah, 15, 16.
Wow, that is such a young age. You already have such an entrepreneurial mind about how you're going to add the value on this planet, which is serving people, supporting them, giving the services they're looking for, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So tell us about, along the journey, were you ever afraid? Were you ever scared? Because I feel like you are such a visionary. I feel like you have a heart of a goal to serve, but then you have idea after another, one after another. How do you always move forward with those ideas? Were you ever afraid?
Probably. I don't. It depends what you mean by afraid, I suppose. I think I didn't. I wasn't scared of failure, if that's what you mean. Like I didn't really care about what other people thought, at least not to a level that would stop me doing what I want, or being who I want, or saying what I want. So I didn't have that problem. And I know a lot of people have that problem.
Why is that, Mo? Why do you not have that problem?
I don't know. Maybe it's the way I was raised. I don't know. I don't know how deep you want to get, I suppose. But I think part of it is definitely to do with not being attached to the outcome. Like a lot of people will take an action or make a decision because they want a particular outcome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I cared about the outcome. I was more curious about, okay, well, what happens next?
Mm-hmm.
So I never had this idea that there was a destination. It was always, well, there's going to be something else after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I understood that pretty early. And if you're not attached to the outcome, I suppose, then there's no end. So it's what Simon Sinek calls the infinite game, right? It's not a start and an end. It's just a continuation.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a continuation, there's never a failure, because it just continues,
Oh,
right?
I love that logic.
Yeah. So I don't know if I knew it consciously at the time, but
Mhm.
definitely that was the way I operated. There's an interesting idea. It's this idea of when you're asked, what do you believe, right? And it's like people will tell you what they believe, but it doesn't matter what someone says to you. It's how they act. So because you play out your beliefs, you play them out. So it doesn't matter. So if someone says, I don't care about what other people say, it doesn't matter that they say, I don't care. It's that they act as if they don't care about what other people think. So I think I just acted in whatever way I believed I wanted to act, I suppose. And whatever happened, and I was always confident that I would recover from any which means I wasn't risk averse. I would happily take risks. And by the way, I'm not perfect, or I'm very limited in lots of ways, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I did a lot of things without the right intention or without thinking about it properly, and I didn't react quick enough, and I didn't plan properly, and I didn't reflect, and I didn't learn enough from the lessons that were coming on my way. So I'm not saying all this as if everything was up here. It's like, no, it wasn't. But underneath it all, there was this belief that I could figure out whatever I needed to figure out, and I didn't need anyone's help, really. Well, I need everyone's help, but I didn't need any particular person's help.
I love that what you just comment about, you are not attached to the outcome. You are truly here for the journey, and there's one thing after another. And I think oftentimes the first time entrepreneurs are so attached to the outcome because that's your first baby. That's the first, something that they rebuild with their both hands. They have felt so proud and so attached, connect to the identity. So I love that. I really love that point. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, do you have any thought or insight to share with him or her who maybe right now so attached to it and right now in the grind and felt like, so attached to the identity? How do he or she not be attached? It's so easy to say than done, right?
Yeah, I think it's the question. So if someone says I want to start a business, my first question is why, and then
Mm.
they'll tell me why, and I say, well, why is that important, and what would happen if you didn't achieve that, and
Mhm.
why does anyone care actually, right? So I think it's this idea that I don't know enough and I'll never know enough, which means I have to keep questioning myself. I spoke to a friend of mine the other day who wants to start a family. It's the same thing. It's like, I want to start a family. Why? Why I want to have kids? Why do you want to have kids? And he couldn't answer the question. He couldn't answer the question. And the best answer I got was, isn't that what you're supposed to do? And I'm like, well, what do you mean what you're supposed to do? There's plenty of people that can't have kids. There's plenty of people that don't want to have kids. So what do you mean, is that what you're supposed to? And he'd never thought of that as something to question.
Mhm.
So I think question everything would be the advice. Why are
Mm.
you doing it? How do you know this is what you're supposed to do? Who cares if you don't do it?
Mhm.
What are you expecting from it?
Mm.
What happens if those expectations aren't met? And then
Mm.
you, and then they start, and then I think that will help people understand what the
Mhm.
intention is behind everything.
Mhm.
Because if you don't know what the intention is, why are you doing it?
Mm.
What is the intention? Oh, I don't, I hear people tell me all the time, I don't want to work for anyone else. Well, that doesn't mean you have to be an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Or I've got an idea that I think is going to make money. Well, no, maybe no one else thinks is going to make money. That's not strong enough for me. That's not emotional, right? It has to be you have to have the emotional drive behind your decisions. Otherwise, you're not going to sustain
Mhm.
the pain, let's say, because if you're paying attention, you know that life is pain. It's not rainbow and fun and games and
Mhm.
everything works your way. So, well, what's gonna help you maintain your
Mhm.
progress with all the? Can I swear?
Yeah, of course. It's a free
Okay.
country.
So with all the shit that you're that's going to be thrown at you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about death in the family. I'm talking about someone breaking up with you. I'm talking about your best friends screwing you over.
Mhm.
I'm talking about you lose a big deal. Whatever it is,
Mhm.
you're going to have a lot of shit thrown at you.
Mhm.
Why are you going to put up with all that? Why are you going to put up with all that? Well, there has to be a reason why you'd put up with that, and that's because you believe that what you're doing is worthwhile. It's something like that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you believe what you're doing is worthwhile, then you should be able to express why it's worthwhile. And if you
Mhm.
can't, that's a red flag.
I love that. I love that, Mo. You really articulate in a way that helping entrepreneur, helping any person to when he or she make a decision, really looking underneath that, really understand why we do what we do, and you have very clear conviction about the vision and why that important to you. And it's easier to looking at it as this is the path, and therefore you can have that stomach to bear those challenges or hardship along the way, and possibly not get detached on that, attach on those outcomes, and
Well,
continue on the journey.
yeah, passion. A lot of people talk about passion, right? Find your
Hmm.
passion, or what are you passionate about? And then
Hmm.
I ask them, what do you mean by passion? And they don't know.
Hmm.
And it's like,
Interesting.
well, passion comes from the root word to suffer.
What? The,
Yeah,
I did not know that. Tell us
right.
more.
Well, if you think about it, if you have a passion for something, that means you're willing to suffer for that thing. Like music, like your child, like your partner,
Mm.
right? Like a cause. If someone's passionate about climate change, they are suffering because of climate change. They're not enjoying climate. They're not happy about climate change, right? If
Mm.
you're passionate about music, you're suffering as you're trying to create your music. If you're passionate about football, you're suffering trying to be the best football player or be part of the best team.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the gym.
Mm-hmm.
That's suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea becomes, well, what are you prepared to suffer for? Because if you think you're not going to suffer, you're not paying attention.
Mm. I love
And then when we can break it down into needless suffering and useful suffering, right? Needless suffering is where you're suffering and there's no purpose behind it. There's no meaning behind it. There's no reason to suffer. Like a bad relationship, right? I see it with co-founders. It's like neither co-founder is enjoying the relationship. It's like, well, why are you putting up with this then? Right? So it could be at the relationship level. It could be about the product. It could be in the industry. It could be whatever it is. You know, I've worked with PhD students that spend months and years researching, and most of what they're exploring hits a dead end. It's like sales, right? You make 5,000 phone calls and maybe 5 people will speak to you if you're lucky, and then maybe one would be interested in what you have to say. It's like, well, why are you prepared to go through all that? Why not just get a job and, you know, take your paycheck and take your weekend and take your 6 weeks holiday or whatever it is and have that stability? Why would you? And I think there's a lot of people that think it's easy to be an entrepreneur or that it's more enjoyable than getting a job, and they haven't really thought about they haven't really understood what the hell's going on, really, because it's not. Yeah, I get people telling me they want to be the next Elon Musk, and then they're in Mykonos for 6 weeks or in Vegas, you know, and it's like that doesn't work.
So Mo, tell us more about that. Like, what does entrepreneur mean to you? I feel like because you have, you intimately, not only yourself successfully found and succeed so many different ventures, you also, mentor and supporting others on their journey. So in your perspective, what is entrepreneurship? What does startup founder means? There's a lot of misconception out there.
Yeah, I mean, I never used the term entrepreneur really until recently. And I know that it comes from the root from the French etymology to take risks, and that's a good way of looking at it. It's someone who's prepared to take risks, to not play it safe. And I suppose if you look at playing it safe, that is getting the job that pays the check, and you don't have to. It's that kind of idea. Business owner would be something I would identify with more. And then here's another thing: you get a lot of people calling themselves entrepreneur, but they're self-employed or they're a sole trader. So, they trade things on eBay and call themselves an entrepreneur, or they coach, they're a consultant or a coach or a legal advisor, and they call themselves entrepreneurs. And it's like, you're not really an entrepreneur. I don't think, but I'm not so clear on what would make someone an entrepreneur, to be honest with you. Visionary, I like. CEOs defined, business owners defined, a small business owner, investor. So I think, I think in what we're talking about, I think the best way to look at entrepreneur, startup founder, something like that, is that you are trying to solve a problem that hasn't been solved in the right way, right? Or you're trying to provide a solution that hasn't quite been provided yet, right? At least because you can analyze it on so many different levels. Like you can say to me, well, there is a solution here, but it's too expensive, or the quality is not good enough, or it's unethical, right? So it's I think that's what an entrepreneur does. I think they take a risk by trying to do. I think it's around disruption and innovation. It's something like that. That's what makes you an entrepreneur, because that's where the risk taking is. If I open a coffee shop, I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't think. You're opening a coffee. People drink coffee. You know that there's a high street. People are walking past your shop. As long as you sell it at the normal price, and you serve it properly, that's not entrepreneurship for me. That's a small business owner.
Well, Mo, I love that perspective. So now let's pivot back to you, Mo. With yourself, successfully found and co-found many business along the year. What do you think? What made you successful?
And unsuccessfully. So again, it depends on how you define success, right? Because most of my business ventures failed. Most of my decisions were wrong, but I got a few. I got a few right. Let's say. So it depends what you mean by success. The most successful businesses I had, it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. So I didn't feel successful on the back of it. Is success making money? Is it making money for your investors? Is it making money for yourself? Is it living the life you want? Is it providing a service to people? Is it developing 100 leaders? Is it what is? And for me, it's all you want to do all of that.
What's it mean for you, Mo? The success.
Living life on your terms and contributing something useful to everyone else. I don't. Bob Dylan said, success is, I'm paraphrasing, but it's when you wake up in the morning and sleep at night, and in between you do whatever you want to do. Yeah, but the doing whatever I want to do is selfish and contributory. So it's, I want to live my life the way I want to live it, but I don't think you can have meaning in your life if you don't do that. I don't think if you're contributing to some, maybe that's why people have children, because they're not contributing to the world, and they think, well, I'll have children because that's my contribution, and I'll look after my children. That's my excuse for at least having a reason to be alive. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why people have children.
That's definitely one idea of that.
Maybe that's why they start businesses.
Yeah.
What is my purpose on this planet? I'm a waste of space. Well, let me start a business and see if that does anything for me. Maybe.
You're quite a philosopher for sure, Mo. And that inspired me to ask you, what impact, what contribution you want to leave on this planet, Mo?
I think if everybody I meet, or if everyone I'm engaged with can be clear on who they want to be, how they want to live their life, where they want to go, right? And then are doing something about it. I'll explain it a different way. There's a Benjamin Franklin quote. I think it's Benjamin Franklin. He says, most people die at 25, but they're buried at 75. Right? And it's this idea that you've died, your soul is dead. You don't have a purpose, there's no passion, you're just going through the motions until you actually die physically. I like this concept because I think it's true. I think if at least as far as I can tell, when I pay attention to what's going on, most people have given up on their desired situation, the way they thought they wanted to live life, or what they wanted really to achieve. They've stopped trying. And so what I want to do through my work is that every single person knows why they exist and is doing something that aligns with that.
Why is that important to you, Mo?
Well, because why would you want to? What a waste of space to be on this earth and to be fortunate enough to be alive. I mean, look, people have problems, right? So if you have problems, you have to deal with your problems. That would be probably the first priority, depending on the nature of the problem. But if you're the worried well, right? People who don't have any real limitations, they can access whatever they need to access to be able to contribute, and they're not doing it. What is the point? Like, what is the point of that? Who benefits from that?
I definitely love that passion.
Yeah, so if you're not contributing, why are you here? It's like, this is what I used to say to people in my companies. If you're not willing to contribute just go and do something else, right? You have to be willing to contribute. Okay, then you say, well, what are you contributing to? Well, to yourself, first of all, so you enjoy life and you engage in life and you find meaning somehow. To your family and your friends, to your community, your neighbors, your extended family and friends, to society as a whole, to your country, your city, your country, the world, the planet, the universe. there's so many levels of contribute. It's like, well, why don't you try and contribute to all of that somehow? Otherwise, you're a consumer. That's what you're doing. You're just consuming knowledge and consuming food and Netflix. And well, if you're just a consumer, I think that's a waste of space. It actually pisses me off, right? It's like, so my first question, the first thing I want to know when I meet someone, is what is the point of you? Why are you here? Like, what are you doing?
Mo, I'm curious why this cause is so close to your heart. Why are you so passionate about this? I'm curious for your own journey. How do you come to that moment?
No idea. I have no idea. I think it's because when I ask people and when I get to know them, it's not through choice that they've given up. It's because they don't think they have any other choice.
Interesting.
It's like suicide. You know, I work with suicide and I work with people affected by suicide. It's the same story. Or alcoholism or problem gambling, or I've been involved in lots of different. This is what was really interesting for me when I started getting involved in charities and the third sector as an advisor and a consultant, because I wanted to understand, why are so many people suffering? I thought it was needless, but it turns out it's not so simple. So I think I'm pissed off about the way we parent, the way we raise our kids, the way we educate people, the way we set up organizations, the political structure. Everywhere I look, I think this isn't getting the best of us.
What do you think is that the future, the best of us? What does that world look like?
Everyone's engaging in the way they want to engage. You know, I used to do this leadership program for 15 and 16-year-olds in Kingston upon Thames in Surrey, and we take them away for a week to the country, and we do like rock climbing, and we climb mountains and gorge walking and things like that, and then we'd bring them back to Kingston University, and we would teach them leadership skills, presentation, negotiation, coaching, things like that. And then we would get them to set up a project to support the community, the local community there. And I would take these kids to the old people. There was an old people's home in Kingston, and I would ask them to ask the old people what they would change if they started life again. And it was always regret. Always, it was, I didn't marry the woman I wanted to marry, or I didn't start the business I wanted to, or I didn't, whatever it was. And it's like the vision is, you look back at your life and you're proud of what you've done. It's something like that. I mean, why not?
Do you have any regret in your personal life, Mo? If you do things again, if you have this magic wand, would you change any path, any part of the path?
That depends. If I do it again, do I remember everything from the beginning? Because if I remember everything, then I would, of course, I do things differently. But if I'm going back again, and what is it, blue pill, red pill, whatever it is in Matrix, or Men in Black, is it? I always get confused. But if my memory's wiped clean and I start again, I probably do everything the same way, probably, because I don't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? That's part of the thing about not attached to the outcome. It's like we're constantly exploring. That's a good way of looking at it. If you're not exploring anymore, what are you doing? And it could be physical. You could be exploring the Amazon or the deep blue ocean or Mars. You could be exploring medicine. You could be exploring new technology. You could be exploring better education, or exploring your mind through writing or painting. If you're not exploring, what are you doing? I think we're natural explorers, and I think that's the first trait of the entrepreneur, is that they want to explore better, something that's better, or something that's unexplored, that could potentially be better. Because where does potential sit? It sits in the unknown.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's not potential, right? So, and that's also where your greatest fear sits, in the unknown. That's the paradox, right? You have to face your greatest fears to unlock your greatest potential. It's something like that. That's why we explore, I think. Otherwise we would have stayed in caves. if you want to talk about entrepreneurs, it was the first cavemen or women that said, let's go out there and see if there's something better for us. Those are entrepreneurs, by the way.
What would you say to people who are maybe right now facing that fear? Maybe in that cave, she or he is about to venture, but seeing the unknown and have so much fear and uncertainty. What would you say to her or him?
What's the alternative? What do you want to do? If you're not going to face your fear and try to do whatever it is that you want to do, what's the alternative? They have to be able to convince me that the alternative is better. So I'm going to set my own business up. I'm going to give up my job, give up my paycheck, and start my own business. I got no guarantee. If anyone guarantees you that you're going to succeed, they're lying, right? So you got no guarantee of success. In fact, the vast majority of the guarantee is on failure. Did I say that the right way? Right?
Yeah.
I'm putting if you give me a free bet, I'm putting it on failure, not success. Every time, right? So okay, so I'm scared, right? Is that the type of fear you're talking about? So I'm scared. I don't want, right. What's the alternative? What, you're going to go and get a job, stay in your job? And okay, so have you visualized that? Have you mapped it out? And are you happy with that? That you're going to stay in the job with that paycheck every week or every month or whatever it is, right? In the same house. You're not going to be able to get a bigger house, maybe, or maybe you will. I don't know. Whatever you think is going to happen, map it out till you're 80, 90, whatever you think you're going to live to, and look at that and say, is that a better alternative than taking the risk and facing the fear? And if it's a better alternative, just do that then.
I love how logical, how clear you are regarding the choices that we have in front of us. Oftentimes, right, we have this fear about the unknown, but yet actually without realizing the current path or alternative actually may be more painful, depends on who you are, right? So really depends on what path you want to choose and what is really aligned with your heart.
Exactly.
And I love that. And I also love Moe said about you can bet on failure. Like, of course, he or she on this venture for success, but most likely she or he gonna likely experience failure on that journey. And I'm curious, Mo, you are successing, you are creating so many ventures along the years. If you can share with audience who are entrepreneurs, who are the top, one or top two, like what are the failure that you felt could be a learning lessons for our audience who are also on their path? And because you have seen it so much, we would love to hear your thoughts on that. What the number one failure, and what is that learning lesson for our audience?
So my number one failure, or
yours? Yep.
I think I don't know. I don't know if this is the right answer, but you can tell me if I got it right. If it's what you're looking for. There's all these cliches like there's no such thing as failure. There's only learning. It's like, yeah, but if you don't learn, then that's surely a failure. Because if you're telling me you either succeed or you learn, no, there's also the option that you didn't succeed and you didn't learn. Why is that option? Why is that not an option? Like, I don't get. So the biggest lesson for me is, or the biggest learning, let's say, is how do I extract the learning? And I think it's as important for success as failure, because if you succeed, however you define success, by the way, that's the first thing you need to do, is define success. Otherwise, it's just a word. You might as well just say mumbo jumbo. I mumbo jumboed at my business. What difference does it make? If you haven't defined success, then it's just a word. It's just noise. So define success, and then if you've hit that success, how did you do it? That's as important a learning for me as failure, because you want to learn what worked for you and you want to do more of that. Surely. So I talk about the I don't know if I've got it here. It's the planning. Here it is. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's the planning, action, reflection. That's the biggest learning I've had in my business, is that you need all three. So I always say a shit plan's better than no plan, right? That's the biggest mistake I made in setting up a business. I didn't have a plan. I just, let's see what happens. So you come up with a plan, even if it's a shit plan, it's better than zero plan. And then if you have a shit plan, you can improve it. So then it becomes, well, how do you improve it? Well, you put into action what you said you were going to put into action, because that's the point of the plan, is that you do what you say you were going to do. And then you reflect on the outcome of the action. And when you reflect on it, you say, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. What did I learn? I didn't do what I was supposed to do. What did I learn? The results were good. What did I learn? The results were bad. What did I learn? The results were different. And when you take that reflection and you understand yourself and the environment and your business and your competition and whatever it is better, you have a better plan next time. And if you have a better plan, the action is more aligned, more engaging, more intentional. And then your reflections become deeper. And so if your reflections are deeper, you're able to plan better again. So that's the lesson that I learned. That's why I came up with the one-page plan idea. It's like, I want to know what I'm aiming at. It's like a goal. Imagine playing football or basketball and you don't know where the goal is or the net. It's a bit like getting on a plane and you don't know where the plane's landing. Or imagine a plane's in the sky and it doesn't know where the runway is. It's like, well, that's just asking for trouble. Well, it's the same thing with the plan. You need to know what you're aiming at.
Yeah.
How do I know I'm going to get what I want? Well, this has to happen. Okay, how am I going to do that? I need to do this. Okay, that's the plan. Well, go do it. And most of the time, it's the wrong thing, because you don't know what the hell you don't know what you're doing. So then you reflect and you admit that it was the wrong thing, and you figure out why it was wrong, and then you improve. And if you improve, imagine doing this every week or every month. That's 12 improvements a year. Do that over 12 years. That's 144 improvements.
I love how intentional you are, Mo. I feel like every action, every decision you make are always so clarity.
No, not every decision. I wish.
No,
because emotion drives your decision, right? So I've made decisions. I mean, most of my decisions are emotional. It's only when I build a structure and I have accountability and I have someone helping me and I have put a board in. If you got a big company, put a board of directors in. Get a coach or a mentor. Get a business partner. Have proper arrangements so that you don't do things emotionally. So it's a nice assumption. Thank you, but it's not true. I would like to be intentional with every action and decision. That's the intent. The intention is to be intentional. Yeah.
I love that. You brought a great point. You said having the business partner, having a board. Like, do you think that having a business partner is really important for a startup success?
No, but having a structure, some sort of structure is. So I know entrepreneurs that didn't explain to their wife what was going on, right? And suddenly their wife is expecting something, and it turns out to be a completely different reality. That's part of your structure. If happy home helps with a happy business, right? Your kids aren't supportive. Your brother, your father, your mother, your neighbor, your cousin, your right. So it's about having the right structure. It's about knowing. That's another thing. When lots of people say focus on your weaknesses and improve your. It's like no. You focus on your strengths. You want to make your strengths better, right? The weaknesses, you want to find ways to mitigate against them. So if I don't have attention to detail, for example, if I'm not very good at reading and picking up on detail, why am I going to waste time learning that when I can find someone to do that for me, or find a system that will allow me to take out the detail and focus on the things I am good at? Too many people are spending too much time focusing on the wrong thing. I'll give you the music analogy. If I'm a great singer, but I can't play the guitar, why am I going to learn the guitar? Surely I want to just keep singing and getting better and better and better at singing. Surely. If I'm a great salesperson, but I suck at HR, what am I going to do? Go and learn HR? Why? Why am I going to? What a waste of time. You are shit at most things. If you listed everything in this world that you could do, you are shit at 99.9% of them. And you're not interested in 99.9% of them. And you don't have the talent to do 99.9% of them. You don't have the interest to do that. So why are you putting any attention onto that? Put attention on. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, if you focus on the things that you enjoy, that you're good at, that you're talented for, that you have the skill, That's what's going to make you, people remember the greatest bass player. They don't talk about he didn't know how to play the drums or he wasn't a good singer. They say he was the greatest bass player. She was the greatest dancer. He was an amazing actress. They were an amazing band. They don't sit there and talk about the things they weren't good at. He was an amazing boxer. Steve Jobs, amazing visionary. Right? What else was he good at? What was he good at? Football? Was he good at singing? Was he? What else was he? Fashion? What was he good at? Right? He was good at figuring out how to use technology. That's what he was good at. So he focused his whole effort onto that. So it's the same idea.
I'm curious, Mo. I love that how you the way how you looking at life, looking at things. And I'm curious, how would you advise people to find their thing, their passion, they're good at, whatever the word is? Maybe he is like, you know what, I don't know what I want. Maybe she or he say that to you. How do you
try things? What is the alternative? If you don't know what you want to do, right? What is the alternative? Doing something you don't want to do?
Fair point.
If you're doing something, so if you don't know what you want, find out what you don't want. Start there, and then start eliminating. Okay, I don't want to work for someone. I don't want to manage a team. I don't want to sit in an office. I don't. Okay, and then your choice. It's funny because you have more choice that way. It sounds like you have less choice, but actually you have more choice, right? Because if you want to work in music, suddenly you have lots of options in how to work in music that you didn't even think about before. For example, if you want to start a business, right? And you're clear that you want to start a business, suddenly you have more choice because how many businesses can I start? how many co-founders can I bring in? How many, right? So I think it's always about staying in action. Right? This thing about there's no stuck. There's no such thing as stuck, because there's a billion books that you haven't read, a billion people you haven't spoken to, a billion seminars you haven't gone to.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no such thing as I don't know what to do. It's like, we'll do something.
Fair point. Now, Mo, I would love to talk about the one-page plan. Tell us more about that and tell us what you are doing there. Tell us how you supporting our audience. Do that.
Yeah, I like. Thank you for the opportunity. So the one-page plan, the idea is, I think you can map out everything you need onto one page. It comes from this idea about the art of war. So the art of war taught us that there's strategy and there's tactics, and they're two different things, right? So the strategy is how you want to make decisions, and the tactics are what the decisions are, what the actions are, what the activities are. It's something like that. Well, you don't need to know the actions and the activities until you're in the battle. What you need to know is how you're going to make decisions, right? So I started thinking about, well, how do we make decisions? It's an important thing, because you say, like, how do you find your passion, or how do you know if you want to start a business, or what's like, well, how do you want to decide what your passion is? That's the more important question. Well, how do you define passion? How do you know it exists? Does it exist, or do you have to create it? Is it a discovery, or is it a creation? Yeah, you have to decide all that first, otherwise you don't know what the hell you're looking for. You don't know what you're looking for. So I thought about, well, what if we created a map that helped you figure out where you wanted to go? That's our first problem. Where are we going? And I don't mean physically, I mean metaphorically speaking. Our first problem is we don't know where we're going. Our second problem is we don't know how to get there. Our third problem is we don't know what to do next. So if I said to you, when, let's go for coffee, you'd say, where are we going? If I said, I'm picking up in 20 minutes, where are we going? Pack your bags, we're going to the airport. Why? Where are we flying to? You're on a plane, where are we going? You're in a car, where are we going? It's the first question. And it's the same thing with your business. It's like, you've started a business idea, you've got, where are you going with this? What's the direction, right? Once you figured out where you're going, you then think about how you want to get there. That's something about values and principles, right? So that's where you decide if you want to be ethical, if you want to have be climate friendly, if you want to be a B Corp, if you want to have a hierarchical structure or a flat structure, whatever. You decide how, right? And then you make the decisions on what needs to happen next. That has to be aligned with how, that has to be aligned with where you're going. So I I figured out a way of mapping that onto one page. So on one page, you have where you're headed, which is why you exist, by the way. You can look at it the same way, right? Why do you wake up when in the morning and you make a series of decisions? Well, why are you making those decisions? Each decision is designed to get you somewhere that's better. No? Otherwise, why the hell are you making those? Okay, what is that place that's better? What does that look like? You define that. Then you define how you want to get there. The non-negotiables, right? Does it have to be ethical? Are you prepared to build a unicorn by cheating and stealing? If that's the goal, if the goal is I want to be successful, I want to have $1 billion company or $1 trillion, are you prepared to cheat? Right? Are you prepared to steal? Are you prepared to con people? Are you prepared to bring in bad partners and investors? So that's the how. And then what does that look like? And then you can start looking at the roles you play in your life, the longer term goals, let's say the within a year, something like that. And that's your one pager. And then everything you do every single day is contextualized by that one page. Is it getting me to where I want? Is it how I want to do that? And is it what I set out to do? And if it aligns, I think you make much better decisions every single day. And if you're making better decisions every single day, you're more likely to get to where you want to get to. So that's what the one-page plan is. It's your next 12 months on one page. And then the details you figure out as you go along. And you use the plan just to check in to see, that's the reflection piece. You use the plan to reflect and say, what worked, what didn't work, what needs to change, blah, blah, blah. And you improve the plan as you go along. That's the one-page plan. So it gives you clarity on where you're going. It gives you confidence that you have what you need to get there. And it gives you something to commit to for the next 12 months. On one page. Imagine. And it takes 24 hours to produce this page. So it's your next 12 months on just one page in just 24 hours.
That's powerful. That sounds like a blueprint essentially for your next 12 months, which is wow, 24 hours.
Yes.
With that, this is super exciting, Mo. Where can audience find you if he or she interested? How does that work? And that's one. And last question is, what would you tell the audience who today are so intrigued by your insight and just like, oh my God, Mo, that's so amazing. And now he or she may be in the journey, right? Maybe he or she started a business, in the mix of business. What advice you tell her or him?
So the advice I would give is map out your next 12 months. Really map out where you want, what kind of life you want to live, where you want to go, right? How you want to get there. What are the things that you value the most in terms of principles, philosophies, morals, ethics? And then what does the next 12 months look like? So by November the 9th, 2022, what is happening now in your life that's much better than November 2021? Map that out first. And then everything you do every day is to figure out how to make that plan real. That's it. I think that's the simplest way of living life. It's really, really that simple. So if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you're fucked. If you don't know how you want to do it, you're fucked. And if you don't know what it looks like, then what are you aiming? You don't have a target. You don't know what if you're going to achieve something. Roy Disney, who is the uncle of Walt Disney, he was the business brains allegedly behind the Disney brand. The only famous quote he's got is, I know how decision making is easy because we know our values. Right? So if you're clear on how you want to live, the decisions are much easier. How you want to live, how you want to run your business, how you want to serve, how you want to communicate, how you want to lead, how you want to manage, how you want to create, produce, etc., etc. If you're clear on how, the what becomes much, much easier. And that's anchored by why are you doing it in the first place? Get that all clear. You can use the Simon Sinek model if you want. Start with the why, the how, the what, right? That alignment. You can look at it. It's all the same shit, by the way. Jack Canfield, Simon Sinek, Peter McWilliams, they're all the same. Tony Robbins, they all say the same thing, right? Just in different words. But it's essentially, where are you going? How do you want to get there? And what does that look like in the next 12 months? If you're clear on that, you have one job every single day, which is, what am I going to do today that gets me closer to where I want to be in 12 months? What am I going to do? And then you make your decisions on the day on what you're going to do. and then you reflect, and then that's the cycle, right? That's the planning. You take the action, you reflect on it. You can reflect daily at the end of the day. You can reflect every week on a Sunday. You can reflect every month at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month. It doesn't matter, but you need to have that cycle, all three: planning, action, reflection.
I love how simple you put it that way, Mo. Trying to write down everything that you said, which is wow, so powerful. Figure out
It
where
is
you're
simple.
going, how to get there, what
Yes.
exactly is the next step. And then when you have that blueprint every single day, looking at what is one action, what activity that day you can take to take you to that moment, and then circle back with the planning, the action, reflecting every week, every month,
Yes.
whatever cadence works for you, and you can stay on the course on that. Blueprint that you set for yourself.
You said it better than I did, actually. What's one thing I can do today? And then when you do that one thing, then you can say to yourself, shall I take the rest of the day off? Or what's another thing I can do today? And you just build it up. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's like pouring, you can't fill a cup of water without the first drop. It's the same thing. It's
Yep.
it's the first action, the next action is the most important action.
Enough
Without
to.
that next action, you don't get the next action. So that's map out where
Mm-hmm.
you want to go, how you want to get there, and what that looks like in the next 12 months, and then just do a
Mm-hmm.
regular reflection. And I think you'll be fine. I think you'll figure it out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow me, Moe Choice. You can just Google Moe Choice. There's only one of me, and you'll find it. And I've got a link tree / Moe Choice. That's got all my websites and my social media. I run regular webinars on the one page plan, so you can sign up to that. They're free. They talk about what the one page plan looks like and what to do. And yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, any of those things as well. You just
Perfect.
Google Moe Choice.
We will link all that in the below episode so then you can easily find Mo Choi, find his
Perfect.
one-page plan, and plan your next 12 months in the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
With that, everybody, truly, Mo, thank you so much for being so candid, being so forward, share your passion, share your fire, which is so obviously infectious and inspiring. And also, thank you, everybody, for tuning today. I really enjoyed today's session. I hope you enjoy as well. And I love Mo say, really truly take action because if not now, when? If not, you home. And we will see you next week. Bye,
Thanks.
everybody.
Thanks, Wen.